Hi, in this video I will show you how to import your Roam graph into Tana. So I'm going to go to my Roam graph. This is the one I've been using daily for about 2.5 years until a few months ago. And I'm going to just say export all, and then we choose JSON. And we get a zip file, and it's important that we unzip that file. In my Mac, I can just click on it, and we see that it extracted a JSON. On your system, you might have to do something else. Going back to Tana, I'm going to go to the gear icon, import content, Roam, and then we're just going to select the file that I just got, open, and then it first analyzes the file. And these are 85,000 nodes, 11,000 calendar entries, so almost 3 years worth of data, and it previews a little bit how it parses, and we're just going to say import. This might take a few minutes, but it's worth the wait. And now we have a new workspace. So the way the Roam import works is it doesn't take all the data from your Roam graph and mesh it with your existing Tana space. Instead, it creates a new workspace. So this workspace is still private to you, only you can see it unless you invite other people. I can rename it. And you can choose how much you want to integrate this with your private space, because in allow content, you can choose to, for example, if you're in your own graph and you want to be able to access content from your private graph, I'll show you the difference. So right now, here I have importing your own graph. If I do @mention importing your Roam graph, you see that it doesn't come up because I'm in my Roam and I haven't allowed access. So if I do allow access, then you see here that I get this node from my private graph. And exactly the same thing the other way around. Right now, if I try to find Andy Matuszak, I found nothing. And I can choose to allow content. And you see right away that I have access to nodes from my Roam graph. One thing to note is that this allow content only controls what appears when you do autocomplete. So if I turn off allow content, it will still show up, this reference, because I have access to both spaces. So you can still, even if you turn off access, I can still manually move things around and copy and so on. Anyway, and so you can choose whether you want to treat these two workspaces as basically the same and cross-reference freely, or whether you like to keep them a bit more separate, build up your new structure in Tana, and then just go in and bring over stuff when you need to. You can also import multiple Roam graphs. They'll all end up in different workspaces. And if you import too much data and Tana is slowing down, you can also choose to temporarily disconnect some of them. So I could do remove from sidebar. And now when I reload, it will not load any of that data unless you have references to it in the private space. And then I can just come here and pick it back up. One thing to notice here is currently this dialog will not reflect the renamed spaces. So my import here, which is Tian Roam, is still called the import. Hopefully we'll fix that in the future. So I'll just bring that back. And now looking at my new import, I'll take this away. You might wonder where all your data is. And all the daily nodes have been converted to Tana calendar nodes and are available here. So for example, I started using Roam, I believe, yeah, exactly, Tuesday 17th. So here I started trying to take some notes. Tuesday 18th, I did a bunch of different notes. I can zoom in on this. This is like my day page in Roam. You see you have all of the links. One thing we do is that all of the tags are converted to links, because that is conceptually how tags work in Rome. So they're not converted into super tags. I can shift click on any node to any inline reference to open it. I also have the show reference counter turned on. And if you do have that turned on, you'll see this little marker, which gives you all the backlinks. But of course, I could also just zoom in on this node, and that would also give me the backlinks, just like in Rome. In addition to the calendar, the top level pages in Rome have all been put as nodes into the library. So here are all the pages that I had. If I click on Zettelkasten, pages are automatically collapsed, and you can either, of course, expand one node by a time, or you can do expand all, which also has a keyboard shortcut, and you see the whole page. Another cool thing is that we actually convert fields or attributes in Rome into Tana fields. So if we go to the schema, we'll see here all of the fields that have been captured. Now, some of these are not really interesting. There might be just places where I used double colon and did not really intend to make a field. So let's see if there's any fields with a lot of values. So author, for example, has 12 values, and I can click on that to see where it's being used. And I can also just look at the field and then click here to create a search. And I'll move this into my workspace. So now actually I get it here. So we have authors in Rome. Let's view this as a table. And this is pretty cool, because already we're taking data from Rome that had these fields and stuff, had these attributes, and we're viewing it as a table. And we could now, for example, apply a super tag. I will show you more about how you can upgrade your data structures from Rome into Tana in another video. But that should be all. Your data is available, and you can now access it in Tana.